Hello, welcome to the PPMC podcast. And for those who don't know, PPMC stands for Poor People's Media Campaign. I'm your host, Kill Rupert Murdoch. It is very seldomly that a revolutionary organization can convince people that they should make fundamental changes in society. The need to make such changes, not to speak of the conviction that they should make them, is overwhelmingly the work of historical forces, such as series of economic crisis, social instability, ecological breakdown, the like. But it is one of the tasks of a revolutionary organization to offer them hope, the sense that the world could be better if they acted as social beings. People must sense that they need not be forever beleaguered by the demands of modern capitalism, that insufferable conditions need not exist, that a better world is possible if they act. Murray Bookchin. And the reason why that quote was used as the opening quote to this episode is because this is the first podcast that we do. And PPMC has existed for quite some time now. It began as a website where we posted our radical literature and we also bootlegged a bunch of literature. But, there wasn't that much traction in that capacity. So then we flipped it and we started using it as a Facebook page and as other social media outlets. And that capacity began to grow. And you know us, we're an anarchist organization. And so, anarchists, we're pretty apprehensive to Facebook, Twitter, and even YouTube, right? But the thing we had to learn was that, a revolutionary has to go wherever the people are at. And whether you like it or not, as an organizer, you have to understand that the people are on Facebook, people are on Twitter, people are on YouTube, and all these other aspects. And so if you're trying to give information and give these tools and tactics to people, you have to find them where they're at. The idea that they're going to find you where you're at, makes no sense, in my opinion. So with that being said, we decided to finally launch this podcast. And the reason why it's necessary, we were going to start this podcast in January. Trump won. To the surprise of many. I myself was not surprised, actually. But that's a different topic for another day. So then we decided start as soon as possible. Because the longer we hold off, who knows whether or not people are actually looking for this kind of information in a couple months. Because anyone that's been organizing for a while, y'all know the American memory is no good. We'll forget it, fairly quickly. I was talking to someone the other day about the Electoral College, and this was before Trump won. And they were telling me how great it was, and I seen them not too long ago. They're like, we got to get rid of the Electoral College. And I said, oh, they're going to forget about it in a few months. Because I actually had mentioned about with George Bush. And they're like, oh, but that was that one time. It's like, oh, these people, these folks, they don't get it. They don't understand. And that's not to say that I think Trump brought anything new to the world or to the arena, or that he's doing anything that wasn't already being done to marginalize people. It's just now that the government knows there's a base of support for these actions, guess what? It's going to be more rampant. But like I said, that's something we'll get into another episode. One of the main things we want to do on this podcast, like I said, is give the anarchist perspective, something that's always omitted, right? Because no matter what you hear from leftists, liberals, statists, it's always, you need a state, you need a police force. It's always this apparatus that's going to coerce people into doing what they want. Now, as an anarchist, I'm obviously opposed to all of it. But then people don't even understand truly what anarchism is, how it would work. And even let's say you're not an anarchist, guess what? Anarchist tactics as far as revolutionary action is by far the most applicable in today's arena. And a lot of people don't even know about these tactics and these tools. And so that's another thing that we really want to do through the podcast is present these tools to you, present these ideas. And so each episode is going to kind of focus on different things, but, we hope to create this library where even if we eventually get arrested and other things because of other actions that we ourselves do, it's still there, kind of like a library, like an archive, so that people can punch in and punch out and hear some of the anarchist perspectives from Los Angeles, Orange County, and other Southern California areas from people that we work with and we know, which I think is much needed. When I think of like a lot of the anarchist slanting media, you have something like Submedia TV, which I love Submedia TV, and I highly suggest people, tune into Submedia TV and support it however they can. And if you guys go through our Facebook page, you actually see a lot of graffiti that we've done supporting Submedia TV and trying to, tell, the masses that, hey, there's this program called Submedia TV that's amazing. That's some of the stuff we do. And actually, if you want to see some of the more underground stuff that we do, as far as like the revolutionary graffiti and slogans and things like that, you're more than welcome to check out our Facebook page and like it and follow us through that capacity. So with that being said, but Submedia TV didn't necessarily talk about tactics, nor did it talk about the theory, as far as anarchism. You can tell it was an anarchist slanting program, but it wasn't giving you tactics, it wasn't giving you theory. That wasn't their aim. Their aim was to basically highlight resistance, which they do amazingly well, and basically create that culture of resistance, which is hella needed, so big outs to them. But so because there was that vacuum, there was something missing, we felt like, why not do a podcast, right? And so here we are doing a podcast, and hopefully you're listening to it, thus far. With that, why does it matter? It matters because right now there's people who are upset. People finally realize that they're marginalized. People finally realize that, in a like flipping a switch, the state can decide to marginalize you, disenfranchise you, and possibly even murder you, And there's been a growing sentiment. Here's the thing. I went to a meeting not too long ago, which, I'll never give any specifics, right? But I went to a meeting not too long ago, and the whole conversation revolved around voting in the Democratic Party in 2020. And the thing that was disheartening and saddening was that there was a lot of, self-proclaimed leftists, revolutionaries. They want to burn the state down and smash capitalism to rebuild a new state under the Workers' Party. And they were like, yeah, let's fucking vote the Democratic Party in. And I'm just like, I wasn't down with them anyways because they want to build another state apparatus. But, I definitely didn't think they would just want to vote in the Democratic Party, a capitalist party, a capitalist, system. Other people are talking about create a third party, right? So then we can all jump into the party system and, we have more bureaucracy and more third party candidates. And, I guess that's new since everybody wanted Bernie Sanders to run as a third candidate. I guess that's like the new thing. I don't know. I don't understand how that's new. And some people are mad. They're talking about revolution, and then they, tell you to go to the march, go to the demonstration, go to the protest, and then they walk in the lines, and they follow the rules, And then the other thing you have is, peace police and all their monitoring of people's tactics and all this, double words of like, oh, diversity tactics, we respect it, we love it, but then we're going to fucking call you out on it, and we're so peaceful, but then we're going to point our fingers at you until the guys with the guns come over here, and then they could be violent for us, and there's all these things, and people talk about it, you know what I mean, but I don't know if people are talking about it enough. And for the most part, we're going to just continuously promote, the anarchist idea and have anarchist analysis. We might share other perspectives, depending on what they're promoting or what they're talking about. But if they're talking about some nonsense, then, for what, right? To mislead y'all, to give y'all information that's bogus, and that's not to say we're censoring anybody, but, a lot of times, a lot of these leftist groups, like, Trotskyist and Leninist groups and Marxist groups, they'll be like, well, that's hella whack. You ain't having this on your program. And it's like, that's hella whack. You ain't never had no anarchists on your program. You ain't never had no anarchist write a piece of what he thought about Trotsky on your Trotsky newspaper. You know what I mean? And that's what I mean, like that double think of like, their assumption is that their argument is more valid than the anarchist perspective, and so that anarchists should allow them in. And I'm like, hell no. You know what I mean? They talking about some nonsense. They got to get the fuck on. So, I know this is not really a full-on episode. It was more just of an intro. And last thing I want to explain about the ads you might see on some of the videos, you gotta understand we do a lot of work and we're trying to expand that work this year. And so, I don't know how much we might make off the YouTube ads. I don't even know if that's a legitimate thing, or I don't even know if they'll allow us to because we're talking about politics. But we looked at it like, shit, if we can make 5 cents for a review and get $5, fuck it, that's a spray can to go write some shit on the wall. So with that being said, man, thanks for checking out the PPMC podcast. And you can expect the video up once a week. All right, y'all. Thanks.